Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Sarah Wing, and this is some of my intuitive art. I recently came across something that I wrote a few years ago for a workshop, and when I was reading it again, I realized it was something that I needed to hear right now, and it's printed out here, and I'm going to read it because I think it will resonate and perhaps be something that you need to hear right now. In part because I'm not just feeling, but I'm hearing dips in empathy. And I'm not talking about a dip in empathy from people or groups that you might think are so overtly obvious that have an aversion or their empathy is shut down. I'm talking about hearing it in people who are open, loving, sensitive people who I see and hear their empathy just shutting down, their hearts closing, maybe is even a better way to say it, kind of bricking themselves off. And it's heartbreaking. So I'm going to read this now. It's just printed out. Didn't memorize it. And this is just from a workshop that I did before. But hopefully it will resonate and speak to some of you who perhaps you're even feeling a dip in your own empathy, and that's causing a reaction that doesn't feel authentic for you, or you're hearing a dip in empathy or lack of an open heart in others that always kept their hearts open. So this is for all of us, guys, okay? I want to address control when we seek to control an outcome. Why do we do this? Often it comes down to us trying to protect ourselves, or we want to protect others, or seeking to not hurt someone. So how does this play out? We shapeshift into a version of what we think the other wants or needs in that moment to seek control over an outcome. We do this with our actions, with our words, or our lack of actions or lack of words. And the lack is what I want you to consider. It's vitally important for you to hear your own voice beyond the gift wrap version that you offer to others. A gift wrapped in people pleasing and shape-shifting. Because let me tell you, when you are trying to control an outcome, instead of acknowledging your own experience, this gift you believe you are giving to others, it comes with a gift receipt. And this gift will be returned to you over and over and over and over. And there are different ways this happens. Sometimes we might say part of a truth to someone and then spend months or years finishing that first sentence. Sometimes it's embraced, and other times it's a lengthy separation while you are still in the relationship with a person or a job or a location, whatever it may be. Because owning your own wisdom is not always easy. And that feedback you get from others is often based on their expectations of you, which has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. Just as your expectations of others has nothing to do with them. I hate to tell you, I know that is a tougher one to swallow, especially for sensitive individuals, because we feel so much. We fucking feel it all, right? We fucking feel it all. Yes, we do. If I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. Sometimes we can get into a role and we lose ourselves. And our wisdom tells us to do things one way, but our ego says no, because it's always been done another way. And suddenly, you need to leave space for all those other people who you love or who depend on you, because they might need to switch up how they do things. Or maybe you know someone who always changes how they do things. So you need to stay as steady as possible. Just what a comfortable feeling, right? Just on high alert at all times. Just waiting for others to act so you can respond, or waiting for the next change and shift coming at you that's inconsistent, right? And when we stay as still as possible, we become a very strong, impenetrable wall. That's comfortable, right? To think of yourself like a solid piece of brick or concrete, or just like an impenetrable wall. Just a strong, impenetrable wall that life will crash into. Until the bulldozer comes. That's right. And then we're hit with mental, emotional, or physical breakdowns. The people or places that we want to protect, they leave or they die. And we realize that allowing ourselves to be pushed and pulled in so many different directions did not make us flexible. It made us a pile of bricks. When this happens, things feel heavy. And it dawns on us that we want to feel and know ourselves more than ever before. When we're crumbled, laid bare, mentally, physically, emotionally, and it's all laid out before us. Okay, so let's think. We're at this place, and we get to this place, we break, and suddenly when it's so heavy, and then we feel like we want to know ourselves more than ever before. So how do we do this? As enticing as it may be, we don't pick up the bricks, buy cement, and put that wall up again. The one that life slammed into. Or we do exactly that. But eventually, we look at the bricks and we see what they're made of. Our foundations, babe. We see the clay of life. Our life. We understand we can mold it with our hands. Our own intentions, our chosen trials and errors. And we're excited or terrified, or probably a bit of both. We start to accept that the reaction we get from others will vary throughout our lifetime. But the act of speaking our truth on a daily basis will only bolster our self-trust and our self-love. And these are things that mold the clay into beautiful experiences. I will assume many of us are sensitive or empathic souls that are watching this. And part of the fear This need to control our words or to control others is a fear of confrontation. You may be surprised to hear me say that I would bet good money that you are highly skilled at confrontation. Because confrontation is not war. Confrontation is not division. When you are confronted by life, you are open and receiving information. Whether alone or with others, confrontation is owning your awareness and not wanting to stew and be stuck in an emotional state. It's the awareness to feel what you are feeling so you can feel the next thing. Confrontation shifts stories. It can be triggering. It can cause discomfort, but it's not unloading on someone. That's why confrontation gets shit done. We aren't stewing in stagnation. When we fear speaking authentically and say or do little to nothing that resonates as our truth, nothing shifts in a relationship to others or to ourselves. When we fear hurting others, we are in a state of negotiation and manipulation with our own truth. When we are in fear, most conversations, what you need to say to another person are the words that you need to tell yourself. Here's another truth. You are perfectly ready for every situation. Does that fuck you up? Also, your unique self and your ever-expanding soul is 100% appropriate for every situation. The only thing not ready, and that will never be, is your ego. And the only thing you'll ever fail is the expectation of others. I also wrote a little more. I'm going to finish this out. Hey, sensitive people who are energetic sponges. Just a reminder, we may not fit into the world, but the world fits into us. I think we know this. Sensitive folks, my people, not every thought is yours. Stay with me. As energetically sensitive people, we're naturally born awake. And we've likely spent most of our lives trick-or-treating in other people's energy fields. You feel me? Meaning we can feel this range of emotions from the treat of love to the nasty trick of anger or hate. Not every thought is yours. Not everything you receive is an intuition. Now, sometimes this is obvious. For example, I love oracle cards. If you watched any of my videos, you know I love oracle cards. But if I'm drawing card after card obsessively, I'm not using intuitive guidance, and my nervous system is likely spiking. When your nervous system, not everything you receive is an intuition. When your nervous system is relaxed, messages are clear. Anxiety and fear translates information through the ego. These messages are not clear. If you receive guidance to drastically change your life and feel spiked on adrenaline, this is likely an action directed through the ego. When you feel this when you feel this message with clarity and calm, this is intuition. By calm, I mean a steady sense of knowing, one you can't shake, something centering. But let me say this, your intuition is not designed for you to avoid all discomfort or inconvenience. We can be centered in our wisdom and be very unhappy with the situation. Let me read that again. let me say this again. Your intuition is not designed for you to avoid all discomfort or inconvenience. We can be centered in our wisdom and be very unhappy with the situation. Life asks that we expand and grow, that we get triggered and clear out old cellular data, cells in our body, that we get uncomfortable. Sorry, I haven't read this, for a minute. That we get comfortable. I'm going to read that whole part over. Life asks that we expand and grow, that we get triggered and clear out old cellular data, that we get comfortable where we were not before. Very important. I always want to say, of course, I'm not talking about any form of abuse. And for anyone that needs to hear this, if you're experiencing any form of abuse, the best thing to do is to put distance and time between you and the abuser. And if you can't imagine this because this is like a soulmate or part of a soul family, I'm just going to say that the moment abuse enters a relationship, that soul contract is null and void, and you can walk away at any time. And that's the note I ended this on. But a lot of it just felt like things that I need to remind myself about. And my heart is just been devastated seeing some people I know who are usually so loving and open that they're just closing down. It's heartbreaking, and it's something that sits with me until I go through my own emotions about it. So I hope that was helpful. If nothing else, just to have maybe someone saying words that ring true. And as always, know that you're deeply loved. You have innate worth. You are always loved. And until next time.